So under thin layer chromatography, we shall understand about principle, stationary and mobile phases, preparation of TLC plates, sample introduction, development of plates or elution of solutes, identification or location of solutes, a two-dimensional TLC as a special technique for the separation of a variety of the compounds by using different mobile phases in two-dimension technology. How we are going to achieve the separation we shall discuss, and some advancements has also been made for thin layer chromatographic technique by using a pump in order to create greater pressures so that the flow rate of the mobile phase can be increased, and even the particle size of the stationary phase will be decreased to the substantial extent. Therefore, we can increase the efficiency during the separation process, and even to increase the sample throughput, this HPTLC technique has been introduced. And next, we will be discussing about the applications. So let us go to the principle of thin layer chromatography. First of all, you should remember that thin layer chromatography is a liquid chromatographic technique. It is not a column chromatographic technique. It belongs to planar chromatographic technique, but it belongs to liquid chromatographic principle. So a separation of the solutes will be done or performed by using a stationary phase which is present over a thin or flat surface. A flat surface or a thin surface is going to be utilized on which the stationary phase will be existing, and the solute molecules are made to interact with the stationary phase present over the thin or flat surface. The relative affinity of the solutes towards the stationary phase will become responsible, and as a consequence of this affinity, the solute molecules are going to reside over the surface of the stationary phase. So separations are going to be performed by using a stationary phase which is present over a thinner flat surface. And the interactions which are responsible for the separation of the solute molecules in TLC are same as liquid chromatographic technique. So we can find out a variety of the interactions, that may be van der Waals interaction, dipolar interaction, electrostatic interaction, hydrogen bonding, anything. So all these interactions are also equally possible even in thin layer chromatography. And here the solute molecule is going to be carried by the mobile phase. The flow will be initiated either by capillary action or force of gravity or under applied pressure or by electrical potential. So in electrochromatographic technique, electrical potential will be employed in order to initiate the mobilization of the mobile phase, in order to initiate the movement of the mobile phase. In electrochromatography, this electrical potential is going to be employed. Otherwise, in other TLC techniques or rest of the TLC techniques, either we will say capillary action or gravity or applied pressure for the movement of the mobile phase. And the detection of the solutes will be made in both the ways, chemical ways or instrumental detection is also possible. And this thin layer chromatography, because of its versatility and popularity and applicability for the elution of all those variety of the solutes, provided a suitable stationary and mobile phases are available, this can be used for the separation of the solutes. Not only for the separation of the solutes, we can identify what kind of solutes are present in the sample, and even how much amount of the solute present in the sample. So we can perform qualitative as well as quantitative analysis by TLC. So let us look about the principle of thin layer chromatographic technique. Here I have presented a diagram in which you can see a beaker-like object, and the beaker is filled by some particular solvent or any liquid. And this is a thin layer plate or a plate, thin layer chromatographic plate, we can say. And this TLC plate has been covered by a finely divided stationary phase over one surface. So an imaginary line is drawn at one corner of this particular TLC plate, and over the imaginary line or at the origin, the sample containing one or more solutes is going to be dropped either by means of a capillary or something else. After the sample is introduced over the imaginary line, the TLC plate is going to be immersed into the solvent which is present in the beaker, and this beaker is also called as a TLC tank. TLC plate, after the introduction of the sample, is going to be introduced is going to be immersed into the TLC chamber or TLC tank or into the beaker. Since the solvent is liquid, soon after the immersion of this TLC plate into the solvent, mobile phase will start to move upward by the action of capillary. Capillary action is going to be playing the role here. So due to capillary action, the mobile phase will travel to a particular distance. You can see here. Mobile phase will not only move itself, but it also take the solute molecules above this particular spot at which the sample has been spotted. Assume here you can see a red colored and blue colored solutes are present
Sir,
in a particular
thin
sample.
layer chromatography ಅಂತ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಸರ್.
Yes.
ಬರೀ thin layer chromatography ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್, ಏನು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay. For all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now
we can.
Now it is.
okay. So have you understood about this slide? I have explained the principle. It is a thin layer chromatographic technique, is a liquid chromatographic technique which is performed by using a stationary phase over a thin or flat surface. All those interactions what we can see in liquid chromatography are also seen in thin layer chromatography. Here the solute molecules are going to be carried by the mobile phase either by capillary action or gravity or under applied pressure or by electrical potential. Particularly in electrochromatography, electrical potential is going to be employed. So chemical or instrumental detection of the solute is made. We can use some visual reagents to detect the solutes present over the surface of the TLC plate, or even directly we can make the solute molecules to move towards the detectors. Therefore, instrumental detection is also possible. So TLC technique is suitable for the qualitative as well as quantitative analysis. So you can see here the components required in order to perform the separation by TLC are: one is a beaker or a TLC chamber or TLC tank. This is the principal component. TLC plate and a solvent. Over the surface of the TLC plate, this TLC plate is having flat surface or a thin surface upon that. This is going to be covered by a thin layer of stationary phase particle, and stationary phase is going to be prepared either in aqueous solvent or in non-aqueous solvent. That is dependent upon the nature of the stationary phase required to be used. So TLC plate containing the stationary phase will be used, and at one corner, an imaginary line is drawn, particularly by means of a pencil. So over this imaginary line, assume you are going to separate two solutes which may be present in a sample, and a micro drop of the sample is going to be placed by means of a capillary or by means of a syringe, whatever it is. Once the sample is introduced on this imaginary line, now the TLC plate has been introduced with the sample that is going to be immersed into the TLC chamber, which is containing solvent, some ml of solvent. The solvent may be polar or non-polar. Again, the nature of the solvent is dependent upon the nature of the stationary phase, what we will use during the separation process. Once the TLC plate is immersed into the solvent or the mobile phase which is present in the tank will start to move upward through the plate. The mobile phase will start to move upward by capillary action or gravity or under applied pressure or by electrical potential, whatever it is. While mobile phase moving upward, it not only move itself, but also it will take solute molecules. Assume here component A and component B are present in a sample, where the movement of component A and component B, you can say, along with the mobile phase, this is the distance up to here the mobile phase has traveled soon after the immersion of the TLC plate into the solvent. So mobile phase is moved up to this particular point, and this is going to be the distance moved by the mobile phase. And component A has also been moved along with the mobile phase, but not up to this particular point, but it has stopped here. And similarly, component B has also moved, but its movement is slower when compared to component A. You can see here a distinction in positioning of component A and component B. And this distinct positioning of component A and component B over the surface of the TLC plate is due to the affinity of the solute towards the stationary phase. Here, the movement of the solute was low, slower. The movement of solute, blue color solute, was faster because the retention of this solute in the mobile phase is greater, where the component B is resided over the surface of the stationary phase for longer time. That's what the elution order can be proposed in such a way that component A is going to be eluted first and component B is going to be eluted last. So this is the principle of thin layer chromatography. So what are the commonly employed stationary phases in thin layer chromatography? Particularly a finely divided particle we can use for thin layer chromatographic separation. So normally we will use the stationary phases for adsorption chromatography, normal phase or reverse phase liquid chromatography, bonded phase chromatography, ion exchange chromatography, and even size exclusion chromatography. All these chromatographic techniques are employed for the separation of the solutes by means of a column. So all those stationary phases which we will use in each and every type of column chromatographic technique for TLC technique also. So even we can use ion exchange resin, we can use molecular beads, we can use a silica particle, a silica adsorbent in order to employ as a stationary phase for the separation of solutes by TLC technique. And almost all variety of the mobile phases or solvents which are used under HPLC can be used as solvent in TLC also. One of the important or interested point under TLC is that before going to conclude the development of any HPLC technique, we need to we need to select what kind of stationary phase we have to use and what kind of mobile phase we have to select for the separation of group of solutes present in a sample. So this preliminary investigation or preliminary confirmation will be done by performing TLC separation. Therefore, TLC is going to be the master tool to develop LC conditions. What is the stationary phase required? What is the mobile phase required? All these components are solely dependent upon the successful separation by TLC technique. If a solvent is not obtained satisfactory results by TLC technique, that solvent is not going to be suitable mobile phase in order to perform the separation by column chromatography. And even similarly, if a stationary phase is responsible for yielding a greater channeling, greater band broadening in TLC technique, that stationary phase is not going to be suitable for the separation of solute molecules by liquid chromatographic column technique. Therefore, TLC is going to be the master tool to develop liquid chromatographic conditions. So any chromatographist or any separation scientist must have knowledge, adequate knowledge on TLC technique before its movement for the development of HPLC procedure. So one should aware about the TLC procedure in order to develop HPLC procedure. Okay. So apart from these stationary and mobile phases, the objects in order to immobilize the stationary phase are plates, TLC plates. These TLC plates are normally glass plates, particularly microscopic slides. All of you have seen microscopic slides. Aluminum plates we can use, plastic plates we can use, and whatever the plate you are going to use, either they will be in the rectangular shape or in the square shape. So if we are going to perform conventional thin layer chromatographic technique, we will be using a rectangular TLC plates. Wherever two-dimensional chromatographic separations are going to be performed by using square TLC plates. The dimensions may be 5 by 20 or 10 by 20 or 20 by 20 centimeter. Here 20 by 20 is going to be the squared TLC plate, where 5 by 20 or 10 by 20 are the conventional TLC plates, and even 20 by 20 is going to be the conventional TLC plates. You can see here in the diagrams what I have put here. This is going to be a paper. This is going to be a glass slide over which the stationary phase has been immobilized, and this is going to be aluminum foil. Aluminum plate is going to be employed as a TLC plate for the separation of the solutes by TLC technique. So you should aware about the HPTLC. HPTLC is nothing but high performance thin layer chromatography or high pressure thin layer chromatography. Here, the principle is very simple. You know the principle of HPLC, where high pressure is going to be employed in order to create the inlet and outlet pressure so that the mobile phase can be made to move faster. So flow rate can be increased, and at a very high flow rate, the analytical time is going to be reduced substantially. The same objective has been kept in order to develop HPTLC technique. So in conventional technique, if you look at the distinction between conventional and HPTLC techniques, conventional techniques will be having a stationary phase film of thickness 200 to 250 micrometer. So if you look at here, the thickness of the stationary phase over the flat surface or over a TLC plate will be 200 to 250 micrometer, the film thickness will be. And the stationary phase particle will be greater than or equal to 20 micrometer. The particle size of the stationary phase particle, the finely divided stationary phase particle is going to be greater than or equal to 20 micrometer. Whereas in HPTLC, the film thickness is going to be reduced by 2.5 times, and even the particle size is also going to be reduced by 4 times. So less than or equal to 5 micrometer is the particle size in HPTLC. And the purpose of reducing the particle size in HPTLC is in order to increase the flow, and even in order to decrease the band broadening. As we can see in TLC, band broadening is going to be the severe factor that can be reduced to the maximum extent while using HPTLC technique. So 100 micrometer film thickness is going to be employed with a particle size of less than or equal to 5 micrometer. So as a result of using a lesser film thickness created by using smaller particles, sharper separations in shorter time is possible in HPTLC. But because of the smaller particle size and lesser film thickness, the HPTLC techniques will be suffering from smaller sample capacity. So let us understand about this HPTLC further in another half an hour. Let us move on to the preparation of TLC plates. Now you have got the principle of TLC. TLC is nothing but it is a separation technique. The separations of solutes are performed by using a plate, which is immobilized by the stationary phase, and sample is introduced. Then it is immersed into the mobile phase present in a tank or a beaker. Mobile phase will move. It not only move, but it will also take the solute molecules along with that. So how to prepare these TLC plates? It is very, very important. We can buy TLC plates from the market. If you are going to use papers, TLC papers, no need to prepare the plates. Papers, ready-made papers are available in the market where the stationary phase is already present over the surface of the paper that can be used directly. No need to prepare any plate for the performance of separation process. But if you use microscopic slides or glass slides or plastic plates or aluminum foil as a TLC plate, we have to prepare the stationary phase. We have to convert that plate into usable plate. We have to immobilize the stationary phase over the flat surface. It is very simple. You just prepare a aqueous slurry of the stationary phase along with a binder. A binder may be a gypsum or plaster of Paris, whatever it is. If stationary phase is going to be silica or modified silica, or a cellulose, or a starch, or talc, whatever it is, alumina, magnesium silicate, whatever you take, you just mix the stationary phase material along with the binder. Binder mainly plaster of Paris or gypsum. Why do we use this binder? Is because we have to make the stationary phase in order to adhere easily to the surface of the thin plate. Therefore, when we mix the stationary phase with the binder, the adhesion power of the solid particles will be enhanced. The adhesion power of the solid particle will be enhanced by the addition of binder. So, you take the stationary phase, binder, and prepare a aqueous slurry and pour the aqueous slurry over the surface of the thin plate. It may be a glass plate or plastic plate or aluminum plate, whatever it is. You just pour the aqueous slurry of the stationary phase along with the binder over the surface of the glass plate or plastic plate or aluminum plate. Once the pouring of the aqueous slurry is over, you just allow the plate to stand until the layer is set and adheres tightly to the surface. It should become comfortable. And if possible, you have to evaporate the solvent, the surplus solvent present over the slurry. You have to evaporate it by keeping in an oven. Make sure the temperature should not be increased greater than 40 degrees Celsius. So it is recommended to evaporate the solvent under the room temperature. If you pour the slurry, you keep the slide at least 4 to 6 hours in room temperature, during which the solvent is going to be evaporated. Now the stationary phase is ready, then you can use the plate. So apart from these conventional plates, what we can prepare in our laboratory, there are some commercial plates are also available, which offer pre-coated plates of various kinds, dependent upon the dimension, dependent upon the stationary phase particle, what we require, whether we need polar stationary phase or non-polar stationary phase, or ion exchange resin, or polymeric beads, whatever it is, or gels. So dependent upon the requirement, we can buy the stationary plates, TLC plates containing stationary phases from the market. Next, once the TLC plate is over, TLC plate preparation is over, the next step is going to be sample application, because the objective of using TLC technique is to separate the solute molecules. Sample is needed to be introduced. How do we introduce the sample? First, you need a sample solution. The sample solution will be prepared to a concentration from 0.01 to 0.1% in a suitable solvent, because you will be performing the preliminary investigation. In the preliminary investigation, you will be finding a suitable solvent, and that solvent will be used in order to dissolve the sample. So you will prepare 0.01 to 0.1% solution in a suitable solvent. So you have a TLC plate, you will create an imaginary line at one corner. At the origin or at the corner, you have to place a drop of the sample, what you have prepared earlier. So this will be done either by means of a capillary or a hypodermic micro syringe. That's what I have put here, two diagrams. One is capillary and the other one is hypodermic micro syringe is employed to drop the sample. And even mechanical dispensers are also available, where auto samplers will be available. If you introduce the sample solution into the auto samplers, those auto samplers are directly linked to the hypodermic micro syringe, and that hypodermic micro syringe will be functioning in such a way that the required size of the sample is going to be dropped over the imaginary line. So while dropping the sample, you have to make sure about the size, because if you drop more sample or the greater sample size, that is going to create the channeling, where the density of the sample size, if more, the separation will not become appropriate. So the drop size, whatever you are putting over the TLC plate, must be up to 5 millimeter if it is a qualitative analysis. If you are going to identify the species, you restrict the drop size to only 5 millimeter. If you are going to perform quantitative analysis, make sure the drop size must be less than 5 millimeter, because concentration matters and the interaction of the solute present in the sample is also matters. If it binded irreversibly, then it will be very difficult to analyze for the quantitative information about the solute. Therefore, a suitable sample solution of concentration from 0.01 to 0.1% is going to be dropped by means of capillary or hypodermic micro syringe, or also by means of mechanical dispensers. Up to 5 millimeter of drop size is employed if the analysis is qualitative analysis, or for quantitative analysis, the drop size will be less than 5 millimeter. Next, how do we perform the elution process? Once the sample is spotted over the TLC plate, what next we have to do? How to perform the elution process? Because sample may be containing more than one solute our aim is to separate those solutes present in the sample. So after the spotting the sample, after the introduction of the sample, what you have to do next? So what you will do in the first step, you will just place a drop of the sample near one edge of the plate and you will mark it by the pencil. So you can mark the drop by circling by means of a pencil. You can mark where the sample is spotted, because that marking is required, because we will measure the distance traveled by the solute individual spot. What is the distance traveled? We will measure. So in order to measure that, we need a point at which the sample is spotted. So once the sample spotting is over, you have to evaporate the solvent. Sometimes the solvent present in the TLC chamber will be different from the solvent which is used to dissolve the sample. So the surplus solvent present you have to evaporate, and this evaporation will be done under the room temperature or by drying. And after the solvent is evaporated, you must place a plate in the developing solvent which is present in the TLC chamber or which is present in the TLC tank, the beaker. You place a plate into the solvent. While placing the plate, you have to make sure that the sample spot should not be immersed into the solvent. The direct contact of the sample spot must be avoided with the solvent. So at least 5 to 10 millimeter distance from the solvent level to the spot must be seen. So make sure you should not immerse the sample spot into the solvent while immersing the TLC plate into the TLC chamber which is containing the solvent. Once the one end of the plate is immersed into the developing solvent, you can see the movement of the mobile phase upward. So once the mobile phase is developed 1/2 or 2/3, you have to remove the plate out. You have to remove the plate out. Once you can see the mobile phase has traveled the distance of 1/2 of the overall distance of the plate or 2/3 of the overall height of the plate, you remove the plate outside and you dry it. If the solutes are colored, you can see the spots by the movement of the solutes. The differential migration of the solutes will be seen if the solutes are colored. If the solutes are colorless, you cannot see. For that, you have to use some other techniques. So you can see a picture here. This is going to be the TLC plate. This is the pencil line drawn. At the origin, at one corner, the sample has been spotted. Then the plate is going to be immersed into the TLC tank or chamber. Mobile phase will start to move upward. It will not only move, but it will also take solute molecules. So next, analyte location. How do you locate the analytes present in the sample? Because different solutes will migrate dependent upon their relative affinity towards the stationary phase. If a solute do not have any affinity towards the stationary phase, that will move along with the mobile phase farther to the spot. It will move away from the spot. If a solute do not have an affinity towards the stationary phase, that solute will move faster. Whatever the solute is having greater affinity towards the stationary phase, that solute will be remained at the spot itself. And during the elution process, the solutes in between these two extremes will have their own differential migration. Therefore, if the solutes are colored, you can see how many number of solutes were present in the sample. If the solutes were colorless, what are the other techniques we will use in order to detect the solute spots? So this is very interesting.